And it's he's speaking to the item 11, the Auckland to Hamilton corridor plan.
Excellent.
Thanks for waiting, Ben.
Thank you, Councillor, members of the committee. I'll keep this short because I'm also looking forward to lunch. The presentation before you is a compressed form of a larger lecture I gave to Waikato University last year, which is a shorter version of a 37-page report I drew up on the very issue at hand, which is the Auckland to Hamilton corridor, aka its urban geography. In brief, and as the item will be coming up later, the Auckland to Hamilton corridor will be one of the fastest growing corridors in the country in the Upper North Island. However, there's three sets of geographies in play. There is the spatial development of Auckland and the Waikato, there is the population movement, and there is also the industrial movement. Population-wise, we have residents moving out of Auckland into what are becoming satellite centres between here and Hamilton. This is natural, it happens all over the world, and it's often used as a pressure relief valve or control rods to moderate Auckland. Now we know we're 45,000 homes short, yet the city is growing the size of Tauranga every year. As much as Auckland can develop, it can't do it all on its own. We need the Upper North Island to assist. At the same time, given rapid urbanisation in the 20th century, our provincial centres have been hollowed out as well. So they need support as well. Hence the establishment of satellites connected by the motorway and rail network. But the big one is industry, particularly heavy industry. I make the very key emphasis that heavy industry does not like competition. It does not like competition from residential and commercial, because when land values go up, heavy industry becomes non-viable. As a result, they decamp. So just as heavy industry was once in the city centre, it decamped to Onehunga. Onehunga is in the progress of decamping to Wari and the airport, and in time Wari will decamp to Jury South and into the Waikato. This again is perfectly normal, and it will have a tendency to follow again, the rail lines, shipping, and the motorway network. Industry decamping and moving is also a good thing. As it says up there in red, you're looking at assisting in creation of the affordable housing supply that is well connected by congestion-free transit, and that it also faces into areas that face economic decline. For example, Huntly, as the Waikato Expressway goes in there, it loses its connection with the traffic. If you establish Huntly as a new industrial base, population will follow, and both Huntly and Auckland win. The corridor has been recognised since the Super City was formed as a potential growth area. Panuku and its predecessor, ACPL, and that's going back a fair few years, recognised this importance and as such have crafted it into the Transform or Aomanako documents. And it's also recognised in the Auckland Plan and unitary plans as well. But there's also a key link in there that we just need to keep an eye on as the corridor will develop, and naturally all through government intervention means. We just have to watch the Auckland Airport to Manukau corridor. It's rapid transit which is being worked through at the moment, because once you find we open the gates and start letting the corridor develop from Manukau down to Hamilton, not only is residents and industry moving, but once you put a rapid transit link into the airport, we've got a congestion-free method of getting there. From Papakura to the airport, once it's built, it's 35 minutes, compared to 70 now. From Hamilton, once regional rapid rail gets going in 2021, it's about an hour compared to an hour and a half on the motorway, so we have to be careful. Which brings me to my final point, given all the information you've got is in the slides. I noticed the recommendations for the item are, in my opinion, a little bit weak to what I would like to see it as. The recommendations I would craft is that this committee co-design and co-lead an interregional spatial plan, so an Auckland plan on steroids, with the Waikato and government, that NZTA become the lead transport authority for all transport on the corridor between Manukau and Hamilton, and Manukau to the airport, and that this committee petition the government to speed up all work on the third main, Pukekohe electrification, and airport to Botany faster than what is in the ATAP and the NLTP. It's because the south is the fastest growing sub-region, it's growing faster than the isthmus, and we're facing a pretty large population burden, especially as industry starts moving south out of the isthmus as well and into the Waikato. I'll leave it with there. Again, all the information's in the report. Happy to take questions, and then lunch.
Thank you, Ben. It's a great presentation, and you're always
On-
well researched in your work, so thank you. Members, questions of Ben? I've got member Tohanarad first, please.
Kia ora, Ben. You know, when you talk about the satellites, you've got a whole clump of what is essentially Māori communities like Huntly, Ngaruawahia, Taupiri. What's the effect going to be on, or what could be the effect on those traditionally, Hāti Māori communities?
Positive consequences if industry is starting to decamp out of Auckland into those nearby communities. It could mean employment, better employment prospects for them, so they're not having to commute long distances, which means more time with family, more time at home, and more time pursuing other pursuits outside of sitting on the Waikato Expressway every day. But there's also a negative consequence that can happen that we must watch, and this is also applying with Mangere, with city centre to Mangere light rail, is we've just got to watch out for gentrification. If we bring large terms of employment into those traditional Māori settlements, what can also happen is we can also get people coming out of Auckland into the area, and what can happen is it can put pressure on the housing supply, and that drives up rents and mortgages and that, and we could displace those communities as well. So we need to be very careful when industry does start moving south and bring residents with it, that we do not displace those traditional communities already there. And that also applies to Mangere as well in an Auckland context.
Just the last one is essentially around, obviously the river, the Waikato River,
Yep.
and any build up along that corridor, and what are the effects of higher density housing, more industry? How does it have an effect on the Waikato River?
That you're most looking at in terms of pollution, not just water pollution, but also air and visual amenity pollution. So again, the Resource Management Act is meant to handle that, but we know it doesn't, not particularly well. So your interregional spatial plan should be making specific reference into how the guardianship and how the stewardship of that section of the, well, actually the entire Waikato River, because all of it is affected, will be looked after when it undergoes urban development. Because the main point is, it's going to happen, and it can't technically be stopped unless we want Auckland fortressed. So how do we best maintain that stewardship and that guardianship in there? And this is where, as I said to Panuku with Manukau, do bottom-up planning. Start with, get the community on board and let them basically write the certain sections, not top-down.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Henry. Councillor Wayne Walker, please.
Sure. Just picking up on the point that you make around light rail to the airport, isn't it going to be better for passengers, particularly if they've got significant baggage, to use heavy rail that's more geared to heavy baggage, and or conceivably something like the Skybus that's more pertinent to people with baggage than light rail?
No, I would actually argue for such a short distance, the other way around. Just to back it up into context, bus, light rail, heavy rail serve three different items. Buses are good for short distance, light rail medium distance, and heavy rail long distance. So from the airport to Manukau is less than 8 kilometres. So heavy rail, you're going to put an unnecessary OPEX expense onto the network and unnecessarily congest the city rail link as well, which can't take any more than what's been forecast. I have written on it, light rail would be better than bus because they're all super low floors. So they can all be built just about to street level, which means when you're trundling your 40 to 50 kgs worth of baggage on. It's just straight onto the light rail train. You turn round, you park your baggage, you park your stuff, and away it goes. A bus, because they have narrow corridors, is not ideal. Heavy rail, again, no, because it's just such short distance. So light rail can do the job just as effectively as heavy rail. You just got to weigh off your OPEX side as well.
Well answered. Thank you. Other questions, members? Somebody like to
Yep, I'll move.
express thanks? Thank you, Councillor Casey, Deputy Mayor. Ben, always thorough, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, no. Declare that carried. Thank you very much, members. We will adjourn for lunch. We'll come back at 25 to 2. Just a fraction over 30 minutes. We stand adjourned. Thanks. Sorry, how long?
That's fine for you.